Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week, another call, and excited to chat with you guys. This is my last Sunday that I'll have to do a pre-recording for a while, so I want to say thank you first and foremost for everyone joining the group, being part of this, being part of the 1612. We are working together right now to figure out when our next meetup's going to be. But I know Bonnie is putting together a meetup as well. She's doing a women's only retreat, and I'm really excited to see her put that together as well. So I know members of the group will get first shot at it for that weekend. Bit more of an intensive weekend, so I'm excited to see how that all works out for everyone. I think it's going to be a really, really great opportunity for everyone to come in and try some new stuff and form some connection and be part of it. So what else do we have going on? Training programs. We're going to start having some training programs available for you guys. Again, nothing's mandatory, right? Like I just want to provide more options for that. If you're looking for a way to train, if you're looking for ways to train that are kettlebells, that are going to be more powerlifting based, if you're going to look for stuff to help facilitate keeping your machine strong, like we want to have that available for you. So Nick and I have come up with some programming that's going to be under our Not Dead Yet programming. All that's on TRAINHEROIC, and be able to work that way with you guys and facilitate that side of this journey. You know, we talk a lot about the mindset piece and all those type of things, but the physical part of this is big. Like being able to manage your machine and be able to manage stress is going to be a big portion in how you're able to handle doing these big things that you'll want to do. Because change in your life and choosing different routes and different options to go down is gonna be stressful. So it's gonna take time for you to understand that like this stress you're feeling isn't something to wander away from, but to go toward. And so you can copy that in training with doing conditioning work, or you can do it with cold tub or any of these type of things that allow you to create this stressful situation that then you are in control of, right? Like it's stress without any danger. It's a safe way to practice, like go to our breath work, our tools, and allow ourselves to feel what's the best way that we're going to be able to manage these things going forward, right? So that's kind of what's been going on there. Um, Also, 1612 t-shirts and hoodies, stuff like that, we will have up and available on the site soon. So for anyone who's interested that wasn't part of our first couple groups, they got free hoodies and stuff like that. Please keep a lookout for these if you're into them. So what else is going on? Okay, so this week and going forward a little bit, I know that we've been working on the 4 agreements. And we've done don't take anything personal. We've done be impeccable with your word. We've done I know we haven't done always do your best, but we've done impeccable with your word. We've done don't take anything personally. We've done, oh no, what is the other one? Don't take anything personal, impeccable with your word, always do your best, don't make assumptions. There it is. Got it. Figured it out. Anyway, sorry. These get lost up there a little bit. We've been talking about don't make assumptions. This past week really hammered that one home. So I want to talk a little bit more about some of that and recent experience in my life. And I would love to, despite that I'm not on the call with you, please share some times that you've noticed more in the last couple weeks that you're finding these assumptions about things in your life and figuring out how to manage them instead of letting that assumption or expectation get carried away. So this past week, I got a chance to go down to Mexico with some friends and stay and hang out and really have a great experience. In my group of friends, I am the least successful financially by a lot. And I can feel that pop up a lot. Like I can feel this comparison, or like I'm not enough, or I'm looked down upon, but none of that's real. Like that's an assumption I'm making. no one in that group feels that way at all. These people that I'm around, this was really a good chance, basically to spend a week with some of my mentors, or maybe not long-term mentors, but definitely people that inspire me to do more. That being Rob Bailey, Keaton Hoskins, Sean Whalen, his wife Sax, Bonnie, Dana, and Jeff Logan. All of these guys are just doing big stuff and big business stuff and making decisions and being able to manage stress and be able to figure out proper steps to continually drive what their mission statement is. And I find all that really inspiring. I find it really inspiring to see it set off and see it go and grow the way it does. So it always makes me want to do more. But it's easy to get caught up that weekend, right? That like I'm being judged for not doing enough, or that my business is too small to talk about, or I don't have a frame of reference, or it's easy to get caught in that. It's really, really easy to get caught in that and making the assumption that they feel a certain way about my thing, when the reality is they don't feel much about my thing other than they root me on, right? Like they support it, they root me on because it's my thing. And that's what having this group of friends do. Like, and not only that, like this group of friends too, we vary pretty wildly on a lot of our belief structure, from political to spiritual to anything. But there's still a lot of ground to cover. It's easy to make these assumptions. Sean is someone that I haven't spent any time around ever. Couple meetings here and there. All always been positive. His platform on social media is a bit more than I'm interested in. It doesn't really speak to me, but I'm glad the people who are looking for that type of message have Sean helping, if that makes sense. Because if you're looking for that type of message and that type of more to a right-wing side of things, then I'm glad there's a leader there who is trying hard to also have their shit together and teach people to be independent and build their lives the way that they want them. Getting a chance to see all that just inspires me to want to do more. That people are out there hungry for help, and people out there want to share and want to find people that mesh with them and be able to do it in real life and not just an online community, so that we can find people and build our resources and build our communities so that we all assist each other and grow together. It was cool being around it. It was really cool being around that energy. Jeff is someone that I hadn't hung out with prior to this, and with his nutrition line supplement line Become, and his other businesses and the acting and everything else he's got going on, man, he's a hustler, dude. It's exciting to watch, and he's doing great. It was interesting to see his first hangout with a group of us like that, because we operate really quickly, we share a lot of information, and there isn't any scarcity. That's one of those things that's always true, and it's really important for this group to remember that, like, there isn't anyone out there who's stopping your ability to be successful and happy. It's only you. You're the only person between that. There isn't some amount of it that I get that you don't get. There isn't you don't get to benefit from anything that I would do poorly. Us all doing better makes everything better. Us all being aware and us all being active and us all being interested in progress makes us all better. And so, listening to the way that they run a lot of their meetings and a way that they manage a lot of their group, and as I'm interested in improving what we do here, I was thinking about how I could work through that. So, making assumptions, right? Like meanwhile, instead, now I'm coming back from a trip like this, that I'm really inspired to make changes and push and reach as many people as we can. Like a stronger group of humans out there that are resilient and accountable and aware, and who are operating from a place of really good intention. That's the type of culture I want to live in. And I want to be part of that. I want to be part of an aware group that gives a fuck, that isn't so intolerant and also isn't so entitled. You know, a couple things I noticed more leaving the US in the last couple months, whether that's been Mexico or the last trip to Patagonia. People have a happier vibe. People have a happier vibe in both of those places than they do here. And I think a big chunk of that is due to the culture we've built, that we want to make assumptions a lot, right? Like that these people you meet that you don't know, that you want to go ahead and paint everything you know about them into a certain category. It was really easy for me to want to do that this weekend with a couple people I was intimidated to meet. I was intimidated to be around Sean. I was intimidated to be around Jeff as well. Like I know that. I can see where it manifested a little bit and me wanting to be more play it cool. But the truth is, yeah, I was insecure about it. It mattered to me how I was received by them. And I worked really hard to not make those assumptions that they would come in and be a certain way. I mean, these are two very public people, very, very public personas, and it's easy to make assumptions, right? Like I know I don't do a lot of the political stuff that Sean does and what his group Lions Not Sheep does, and great. We're not in competition. And that doesn't make his group wrong. It makes it not right for me. And that's why I have a group. And that's why there's a place for people like us, is to not be caught up in that. And so, you know, he talked about one of the ways that he builds is this really clear message of these 4 pillars. I can't remember all 4 of theirs. And so that got me thinking, like, what are the 4 things that I think are really, really critical that we need to be working on? And so like the 4 things for me that kind of lead into success, right? That I got from the other side of the assumption. Because if I would have sat there and lived in the assumption and got weird, I don't get any of this valuable information. I can't uptake anything from Sean. I can't listen to the things he's saying or advice or experience he's sharing because I assume something else about him. And so it taints it, right? So going in without this assumption and being open and going to decide to be part of it and share and be valuable back allows me to gain a lot more information. It allows me to listen and learn from someone who's doing a thing that I'm interested in doing better at. So I think the 4 things for me that really matter in getting anything done, right, is like number 1 is there's the inspiration. And so we're going to start kind of splitting these into weeks. Like, so we'll have a topic, but the main thing that we're going to talk about that week is like inspiration. So I want to hear what fire we're finding and what thing we're going to be looking at, right? So inspiration for me is that initial spark that builds the enthusiasm. Like that's the thing that's like, fuck, I need more of that. And enough of that becomes a bit of a compulsion, whether that's listening to podcasts or whether that's a video or whatever it is that sparks that fire, whatever it is that gets that thing going, that gets you moving, gets you feeling, gets you thinking something about a positive shift in your life. Like that's the inspiration. That's what these calls are. That's what communicating with the group is. That's what finding that energy that you have to get out. That's inspiration. Like that's finding, and it comes from books, it comes from movies, it comes from fucking travel, it comes from conversations, it comes from all these things, but it doesn't come from scarcity. That's not inspiration, right? Like that's a bit more of a desperation, that I have to get it so you don't. But I want pure inspiration that leads me toward light and leads me toward happiness and enthusiasm. I want to go toward the things that really set me up and set me on fire, the stuff that I need to be around more. The next thing I think about is the awareness. It's actually acknowledging that dream, that you want to do it. and start vocalizing it and start putting something down as where you'd like to go, and think about the awareness of where I'd like to be and how this goal operates and what skills do I need to possess to properly accomplish that goal. And so, if I want to start a podcast, right? Like the inspiration is I've listened to a show. I'd like to start a podcast. I'm aware I'd like to start a podcast. I keep thinking about it. I've come up with a name. I've come up with, what the topic would be, what the direction I want to take the show. And then from there, it's like, okay, so let's record the first one. What do we need to do that? We can get figuring out that like, okay, so for me to become a better podcaster, I'm going to have to take reps and do this public speaking thing, be able to speak, be able to communicate, be able to share ideas and translate the information that you would like to share through the podcast. And that's only going to come through the repetitions, right? And so once we have that awareness of what skills we need and what we should be doing and what we can be doing and how we can build and what those steps start to look like, then we can figure out what is our intention with this. And I say that figuring out your intention and not your expectation, right? Because your expectation is I'm going to host a podcast, get famous. When your intention is to share information that you care about, your intention is to create a show that you like to record. The intention is to speak to guests and learn something from them. The expectation isn't that. So as long as I can stay true to that intention and follow the steps of awareness that are going to get me there, then I want to do it. Making money, building a successful, famous podcast. If you want to do that, and that is your intention, there are steps there too, right? Like we can look at what popular subjects are. We can figure out the way to plan and itemize and build shows. We can figure out what guests we need to be getting in touch with. And we can start figuring out the process of doing that. It's still steps, but you have to be aware truly of what your intention is. Do you want to show that something you love to do, or do you want something that's going to make you famous and make you rich? Because these are very different things. They can overlap. That gets really tricky. It's really tricky. There's a lot of people out there who've made a lot of money who aren't fucking happy. That's not something I'm interested in at all. I'm not interested in sacrificing long-term satisfaction with my life. I'm not selling it. Again, I'm not selling the be happy today so that I can be happy later. I want to be stoked in both. And that's being involved in things that have a limitless progression to them while having a plan of how to execute it and being excited to do all those parts. And then the final part of this is really action. Like that's our final thing is the action is you starting to make decisions. And remember the intention. The expectation can lead us down a different path that can get really muddy and really cloudy with, I thought it should go this way. But if we stick with action and taking action, it's simply what's the next step? I have to do this. I have to get this part done. Stop looking at the 200 steps of what it is and start looking at what the next step is and just make that progress. Do the critical thing that helps you take the next step. That's it. Even if that is, I need to do research. I don't know what this cost. I need to get the El Camino taken care of so that that can be my daily driver at some point later this year. I know that. I have a loose idea of what it costs, but that is an assumption. I have never spoke to a shop that's going to do the work and got a quote from them regarding time or money. And until that, I don't know shit. I have an educated guess, but I can't get mad when I actually find out. And so at some point, I'm going to have to start taking action and actually bring the car to a shop to get an estimate. And for me, I realize there's a lot of steps before I actually get to start doing it. Like there's probably 2 months worth of shit that I'll have to do with the El Camino before I can actually start getting it worked on. So why not start chipping away at those things too in any of the spare time I have? Do the research, look in, make some phone calls, go visit. You don't have to build momentum, right? Like you're understanding as much data as you can to make the better actions and make better decisions going forward. And I think using those 4 4 parts, right? Like those are the 4 parts that we can kind of use as the base to get anything done. And so again, that's going to be your inspiration, the awareness, your intention, and the action. That's the 4 steps to figuring it out. And it allow you to go back into inspiration. Like I get inspired all the time to change work, and I get inspired on big scales, which is start an apparel company, right? And build this out and build my dream. That's one long timeline of a lot of actions and inspiration. But in the small runs, right? Like there's still inspiration that I get from a movie. There's inspiration I get from talking to people. There's inspiration I get from travel. And when I get that, I have to be aware of what it is there that I'm actually into so that I can translate that into something. And then remember again, the intention. What is it I'm trying to accomplish? I want to make better products that make my company better. That's it. They stay true to our word. They stay true to our vibe. They're clothes I want to make for me. And that was a rule from jump. And then action, I can start designing. I can start changing. And even in that, there's going to be small parts and different pieces of inspiration that are going to pop up and awareness. And I'm going to work through those stages. But those are the 4 stages that have been really critical in me being able to figure out what I want to do, how I want to do it, and what decisions I need to start fucking taking to get shit done. But without action, none of it fucking matters. And people can get tied up on that piece and get buried in it and be so fucking scared to take action, of join a thing, start a thing, try new stuff, make new friends, go to a new place, try a new gym, any of that shit. People fucking falter on action all the fucking time because you have to physically do a thing. We're out of theoretical now. Taking action is critical. But you don't have to fucking balls to the walls and run it into the ground. Just take the first step. Build some momentum and let that carry it. Know that you're doing it. Know that you're making progress. You know, instead of going into something like jujitsu or starting a business and say, it's going to do this by this date. Like that's fucking hard lines, blah, blah, blah. When the reality is, I want to grow a business, right? And if I can stay in that growth mindset instead of chasing an expectation, I stay excited. And an excited, happy me is going to do better work. You know, I like pressure and I like being able to do that, but I like doing it about things I give a fuck about the outcome. The businesses I run, the people I'm around. Like I'll fucking do any of the work as long as it fits into that spectrum of shit I care about. I don't want to do it for someone else. And I didn't find it very sustainable to pretend that I would. So I think going forward, like next week, what I want to talk about is inspiration. I want to talk about things that we are seeing that are making us want to do more. What are we currently being inspired by? I know that we've got this goal chart that Tyler just put out. Everyone take a good look at that and be fucking specific on some stuff. Let's set some shit in there that we are going to get done, whether that's physical or mental or spiritual or emotional or travel. I don't give a fuck. What I want is progress. What I want is you doing the shit that you're telling me is important to you. Take action. If it's not important, let it go. And then we'll find something that is. But make sure if it's important to you, do you know why it's important to you? You know why that you need it. Not because I'm supposed to enjoy this or this will make this different. It fucking won't. It has to be important to you and for you. Otherwise, that feeling's not going to be sustainable. Like, so that's what I want to do. I want to start next week. Let's look at that. Let's look at what are we currently being inspired to accomplish? What are we currently being inspired to do? You know, I'll share my own. I'm really proud of the content that we've got to create with Epic Pursuits. I think it's fucking unbelievably good for what we've got to produce with the budget and resources we were given. But I realize more now also what we can do on our own. And so I have the inspiration to do another big, hard thing this year. And I've talked a little bit about it. but I'm going to attack riding the Katy Trail in later September with Kelly Starrett, and we're going to ride all 220 miles of it in under 24 hours. That's the goal. And we'll film and document a lot of the training and produce a bunch of content for it. And I'm really excited to do that and do it with a focused approach that we've never quite used before. So I know Brant and I are both really inspired by a lot of the work that we've been doing to do this. And the awareness, right? Like, why am I doing it? Why, what do we want to do? What are we figuring out? So the awareness is going to be hard. It's not simply just the riding part, but there is some logistics. There's filming, there's timing, there's making sure we have gear. There's a portion that we'll be riding at night. There's some organizational things, but overall awareness, right? Like, I want to know. I want to do a thing that's really hard. And this seems like one that's a pretty low risk of injury. The training will all really benefit me and not fuck me up. And the experience alone will be one I won't ever forget. Top fucking tier experience. That one's worth it. And not only that, it's a day. It's one fucking day. And so I know I'm going to be doing a lot of riding starting kind of later, early August. And so I would love anyone who's interested in joining on some of those training rides around St. Louis. Let me know. We'll let them rip. Charlie, looking at you, my bud. But I have a couple more weeks before I can really get going. So now I'm spending time really putting together like what those pieces are. And the intention of this, right, is Kelly and I sharing this story that, him with a fake knee and me with a fake knee, and both long past our prime as athletes, especially in the sports that we showed up for. It's great. We're not fucking dead yet. There's still experiences to have. There's still enlightenment to find. There's still that fucking marrow to suck out of these big life experiences and challenges. And that's the intention, right? Is to find that thing, to push myself, to feel what I felt from doing Fragile, to feel what I felt from competing for the Highland Games, to give myself a moment that it fucking counts. Normally that's like 2 seconds for me, and this one's going to be like 24 hours that I have to keep my shit together. It'll be a really big challenge for me. And then the action is I have to put together the training plan. That's it. Like, those are the 4 steps for me filling out that. And if I fill out those holes and I completely understand what I'm trying to do, it's going to make it a lot easier to actually accomplish the job. So I want you guys to think about that. What are we inspired to do? Let's find something we are inspired to do. It doesn't have to be physical. It just has to be something big, something that scares you a little bit. And this isn't a fucking comparison to your thing to my thing. Don't do that. Don't waste any energy on that. This has to only be important to you. We're going to talk about it next week. We'll talk about it with Elliot as well. Like, start thinking about that, what it is you're inspired by. What brings you that enthusiasm? Is it an adventure? Is it something business-wise? Is it learning some new stuff? Is it whatever it is? Let's pick it. Let's choose it. So that's what we'll be doing next week. And smashing that coffee cup right into that. And I'm excited. I'm really, really excited to be working with you guys. I'm excited for new people who've been joining in. Currently, right now, we're going to push and get the group to 100 members. That's one of my goals. I'd like to get the group to 100 members. And at that point, I think we'll close enrollment for a little bit to make sure that we are being able to serve that community the best way we can. So again, check out Nick's training programs that we got going for the Not Dead Yet stuff, Elliot's group call, Hanse's group call, as well as our member coaches now have one-on-ones. You can opt in to make phone calls with them and have more time to connect as well. So I want to say thank you to everyone in this group. And back to what this whole thing's about, right? Like, this is taking the fucking notice that I want more in my life, and I have to start taking action for it and not just showing up to calls, not just being part of a thing, but deciding to change my fucking life. If I don't make changes, nothing's going to change. I'll just get older and be one of those old fucks yelling at the wind. And I refuse to do that. I refuse to crystallize and get locked into a thing that The universe isn't making it easy for me anymore. I don't want a fucking easy path. Forge my own. I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to change. I'm willing to adapt. I'm willing to grow, and I'm willing to learn as much as I can through the course of this life as possible. So thank you guys again for your call. Start thinking about it. What inspires us? Is it music? Is it movies? Is it, where do we find inspiration to do more? And what is it we're interested in doing? If we don't know that, it's going to be really hard for us to choose to set the fucking compass and start taking actions. But it's easy to get ahead and be like, I'll take actions. I'm ready to take actions. I'm ready to take actions. But you don't know where to put the fucking energy. Problem is, I can't tell you where to put it. It has to be something you give a fuck about. So we're going to start digging in to find that. So we'll continue to revisit the 4 agreements, and I feel like do your best, as the 4th agreement is pretty obvious. But it goes into everything, right? Like, so fucking do your best. I've seen a lot of these groups, and you know, an example of do your best that matters to me is I've seen a lot of these groups, and it's easy to just do a Zoom call. You know, use the webcam or use their phone, but I want better quality. I want to be able to do this because I can do better, right? Like, I have the resources and I have the stuff, and I've produced content for long enough to know that I can do better. So it's unfair to not. So hope you guys are enjoying. We have clips for the show going up on YouTube as well, so feel free to check those out. And if you want to share anything, let us know. Looking forward to listening to this one and hearing what you guys are stoked on when I get a chance on Sunday. So enjoy your trip. You guys aren't going anywhere? Fuck, man. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your week. Take some time and make sure that you're figuring out where and what it is you're stoked on. Like, just take action. Take some notes of what are the things that bring you enthusiasm. So thank you guys. I will talk to you later.